to preface it, have you listened to this podcast before?
I have.
Okay, it's a mess. So you don't worry about not following script or falling off or any of those things, because when it's all over said and done, it's a mess. Dude, the PGI stuff though, I mean, it's gotta be year over year over year thing.
Yeah.
One event ends, you probably begin planning for the next one. Is it immediately? Do you guys take 10 minutes off to breathe? How do you do that?
Well, I'm already planning next year already.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's probably already started. That's terrible.
It is. It actually is. Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I've already been working on 26 a little bit, and I've already working on the contract for 27. So yeah, it just doesn't end. It just
I guess you do got to get the sites pre-planned.
Yeah. Well, like today, Sklebar calls me and he goes, we don't have any salutes for the 21 gun salute necrology on Friday night. I'm like,
oh, God.
Why don't we? He goes, well, Dr. X is out and they don't have any more. So what do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know, find some.
There's got to be plenty out there.
3 weeks.
I mean, you can't say that you don't know anybody that doesn't have salutes.
Yeah. I'm looking for like 6 inches. My problem is I'm looking for something big, not just like 3s or 4s. I can get 4s, but I'm really looking for like at least a 5 if I can. 6 would be preferable, but I guess beggars can't be choosy currently.
Yeah, that's right. You know, let the little Sky Wars of the world and the mid states and all those, let those guys get the 3s and 4s. You get the big ones. God, I don't even know where you get 6-inch salutes. I don't think I've only shot 6-inch salutes maybe twice, and I can't tell you for the life of me where we got them. I think maybe it was like F and F or something.
Yeah, F and F doesn't make them anymore. That was my first call. Yep. Dr. X has an EX. They will sell them or bring them to PGI. They're out.
Really?
Little Big Shots. Albert said he can make some. I'm just trying to coordinate getting them from Pennsylvania back. He needs the week to build them this week. So yeah, it's a mess.
Well, best of luck getting those last minute. Not a big deal, you know.
Yeah, you know. At least they didn't let me know Thursday night. So we do all the it's our necrology, so it's basically all of the people that have passed away in the last year get their name read, and the founding members of the guild have their name read, and then they do 21 gun salute. So 21 shots, and they're usually wicked loud, and it's cool, but you know.
The 6-inch salutes too, that's deep. I mean, you feel that in your soul.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any of the shots right now, or are you 21 short?
I'm 21 short.
Oh man.
At least you know they're going to match.
Yeah, that's all I care, I guess.
Jamie, can you gain up a little bit?
Or they're none going to go? Yeah, probably. I could do that.
The Doug Blue
Is that better?
Philosophy. Can you hear Jamie okay, Craig?
He was a little light. I just turned my volume a little bit. I thought maybe it was on my end.
Hold on a minute.
No, Jamie, are you close to clipping or no?
No, I must have hit the dial on this when I moved it. It should be better now.
Well, maybe you should just never touch that stupid box again.
I would love to do that, but please. I have animals.
No, like that doesn't matter. I got animals too. They don't. I couldn't tell you last time they jumped up on my desk and started turning my interface knobs.
Have you seen my animals?
Craig's an animal. He's a furry. It says so on his Facebook profile picture.
Yeah, so my son's school, they do like it's like a half an hour. You kind of run around for like charity, do laps or whatever. Yeah. And they're like, we really need a mascot. And I'm like, I could do that. And my wife's like, really? You would do that? And I'm like, yeah. She goes, that is not like you at all. And I'm like, no, I'm like, yeah, I'll do that. And oh my God, it was so hot. I got.
Oh, I bet.
I had this.
Don't they have little fans inside those things though to keep cool?
They don't do anything.
The little fans. I had this ice pack on. It was like literally like a bulletproof vest, but it was all ice. They took it out of the freezer, and I put it on, and I'm like, oh my God, it's so cold. Like I'm like shivering. And then I got outside, and I'm like, oh, it's not even cold anymore. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Half an hour I was in that thing, and I got out. My clothes looked like I came out of just jumped out of the lake, and it was just so.
I can imagine, man. Yeah, right. It's not exactly good airflow in there.
No, not at all. Yeah, and then the feet were so big, so it was hard to walk. It was really weird.
Last time I wore one, all I did was waft my BO through my suit. And I just got to
you
smell
turn
myself.
the fans on, and you're smelling your goosh with every step. Yeah. So you didn't, did you do anything cool like flip dunks on a trampoline or anything like that? Or did you?
No, I would have killed myself if I did that.
Should have hired somebody that could do it and then made your wife think that was you.
Yeah, I agree.
Stunt double.
Yeah, stunt double.
Oh, God.
That was cool. Yeah, I remember that when I sent you a friend request. I'm like, I think this is my guy. Let's be friends. He's not a firework or anything. But
Welcome to the Rhythm Pyro Podcast, where Bozy, AJ, and Jamie ignite your passion for pyro musical show design while testing the very limits of your capacity for stupid.
He's a lie. There is no AJ. He's out on a show. Hail Caesar. Welcome to the Rhythm Pyro Podcast. I'm Bo. That's Jamie.
Hello.
And we're hobbyists and semi-professional pyro show designers. We're big fans of the modern pyro musical, and our little podcast is a place where we can get together, talk shop, fireworks, art, especially the art this week, tricks, news, and insights with you. Craig Hetherington, the second vice president of the Pyrotechnics Guild International, or PGI, to the layman. Hi, Craig.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. Hey, before we start the real fun, I got a question that I believe that you're more than qualified to answer.
Oh, no pressure, huh?
This is really easy. If you're planning like 4.5 years out, you'll get this one. There's a lot of firing system equipment at the PGI, right?
Yep.
Okay. All right. I'd say the display companies and the hobbyists, they got a lot of money invested in those firing systems, wouldn't you?
Yep, I would.
I think so too. Those expensive bundles of button switches and blinking lights are an integral part of bringing your pyro musicals from the computer screen to real life. So that's why you shouldn't be boring, and you should want to give your firing system some pizzazz, if you will. So make your firing system your own with slats, bedazzle your breakout boards, and other firing system accessories with muuxBRD. While muuxBRD's customization is astounding, their accessories are a staple in workflow improvement. CJ, muuxBRD's owner, is a circuit board designer by day and has been shooting displays for over 25 years. If you need any accessories for your firing system, look no further and head over to muuxBRD.com. That's muuxBRD.com. Thank you, CJ, for sponsoring this week's episode. Craig, what is a second vice president? What is its function, and how can America get one of those?
I'm not really sure. This has been my first year on the board.
To which question? The first one or the second one?
First.
So is it you think it's like spillover work? I mean, I'm part of OPAG, and I've been on the board, and I was a president for a few years. I'm currently vice president now. And I just think to myself, man, it'd be really cool if I could have a second vice president, and then maybe I can just every task that I'm given, I can just give it to somebody else, give it to him or her. Is that how it works?
Maybe if I wasn't a business manager, I could see that working that way. But being the convention business manager, it seems like a lot of stuff falls on me to take care of. If I go back just to my second vice president roles, I'm in charge of all of the safety, around the site and our production for our nightly stuff. So other than that, it would be pretty easy if I didn't do the convention stuff. Seems like there's always something going on with that stuff.
The organization is probably so big. And again, stop me if anything I say is just, it's an incorrect assumption. I'm not a member of PGI, but it's, as long as I've been part of the community and part of Pyrotechnics, PGI has always been this marquee event. And the guild itself is huge. I mean, what's membership up to now?
We've, at one point in time, we were up about in the mid 4,000s, 4,300.
Oh, man, that's massive.
Yeah. Last year we had about 1,800 people at convention. Membership was probably in the upper 2,000s, 27,800. I would have to look, but somewhere in there. So yeah, anytime you get 1,800 knuckleheads running around on a fairground piece of property, it's interesting.
Can you imagine that? Those the law of averages, Jamie. That's like at least 50 of you, 2 AJs at least. Yeah, with that many members and as big as the convention is, and as many things as you guys have to plan for every single year, all joking aside, I can see why there are positions like a second vice president, because there's no way just a regular board would be able to handle all of the things you got to handle, that much stuff to juggle every single year.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's like you find the venue, you got to get the contract, and once that's done, it's about finding, got to get your permits and make sure all that's all kosher with everybody that wants to have their hand dipped and tell you what you should or shouldn't do. And then that you didn't even start the convention. You got to find display companies. And if you need tents, you got to try to source tents and tables and chairs. I just looked up last night. We rent 680 tables this year, like 8-foot banquet tables. I was like, wait, what? I didn't believe it with the number. And I'm like,
it's a lot of
dear
tables,
God, that's a lot. And like 1,200 and some chairs.
That's a lot of tables.
Yeah.
We got enough tables.
Yeah.
Just no 21 gun salute.
Yeah. The 21 gun salute. Yep. But then you got like golf carts and equipment, and, it's just water for the teams and Gatorade and the afterglow stuff. It just keeps going.
Yeah. I would imagine that the places in which PGI travels, when a city gets the call, who are you guys picking up the phone and calling saying, hey, hi, we're PGI. We love fireworks. We adore them. We would like to shoot them all day long in your city for a week. What do you think? How's that conversation go?
Interesting sometimes, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Usually we have a permit to shoot fireworks from 5 p.m. till 1 a.m. We now lately tried to shut our shoot lines down about midnight or so, just to play nice with the neighbors, not try to wear out our welcome. But man, you start telling these people you're going to shoot fireworks till 1 a.m, they'd like flip their shit, and it's like, what's going on? You're going to do this? And it's like, come on.
Yeah. At first, I can imagine they think about it and they might be like, oh, this is great. This is cool. You got something new coming in. There's going to be fireworks all week. But at some point, there's probably, buyer's remorse on maybe on the city's part. Have you guys ever had a venue that was just like, after it was all over, said and done with, they're like, oh God, we're okay if you guys lose our card next year?
I don't think in my time we've had that. I mean, I get, Wisconsin International Raceway in Kaukauna. We were last there in 2010. We're trying to go back there in last year in 23, and
just not picking up the phone.
It just the town board was just kind of like, we really don't want this here.
Really?
Can you guys leave? Even but
you guys leave.
So nice to see you come, but
yeah, I mean,
thanks for stopping.
And we bring money to the economy and stuff, but it's, a lot of people are like, well, we have to work. And I get that you have to work and you got to get up, and it's not a vacation for everybody else. And it's kind of hard to find some sites sometimes. You kind of get in this rotation.
I bet. Is there a standard rotation? Is it an unspoken rotation? At what point do you go, maybe we should, make some calls and try to look at new venues and see if somebody else would be interested in hosting this? I would imagine some of that has to do with, the way that you're growing and some of the feedback that you get from the membership too.
Yeah, I think it's hard to, you kind of, right now I'm trying to get 3 years planned out. So we kind of know where we are, to just kind of take a breather and say, okay, let's reset. Where else can we go? We've been going to all these places over and over. What else is out there? There has to be stuff that's out there. And it takes time to find them and develop them. I mean, we're a volunteer organization, so we all have day jobs. This is not what we do 9 to 5.
Yeah. Do you think that you found the perfect site?
That doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist? Really?
Nope.
What are some of the physical challenges that you've faced in past venues?
Space. With our, everybody wants to shoot bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's like 16s aren't cool anymore, so let's do 24s. And it was 24s are okay, so let's do 36s. And you're like, okay, do you know the real estate we need for that? So
wow,
it's just it's space. We Gillette, Wyoming is a really nice site. It's in the middle of nowhere, which sucks, but they have a lot of buildings, which is nice. They have a lot of camping, which has really taken off in the last 6-8 years.
That's cool.
But they're building more buildings, which is encroaching on our space to be able to, shoot competition in a display field. So it's like a perfect site doesn't exist.
Yeah. So tell me about Brainerd, Minnesota.
It's a racetrack, and the owner's Christy has been beyond nice and accommodating, bending over backwards. It's been a great relationship. We believe it's going to turn into a rotating every 3 or 4 years type of a thing. The site's huge. They don't have a ton of buildings like Sunnyview did or a Mason City kind of a thing, but it has some really nice stuff. They have a lot of camping, full hookup camping, which is pretty important to a lot of our members.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
Right. So, in the community, the state fire marshal, the sheriff have been just spectacular. Like, what do you guys want? What you need? What do you want? This is what we want to do. Okay, this is how we're going to do that to make that work within our laws. And just basically bending over backwards. This was a couple of years ago. I called Bob Rexon, the state fire marshal for Minnesota, introduced myself and told him what we were and what we wanted to do and where we wanted to do it, and kind of went through the whole standard spiel, as I call it. And he goes, finally, you guys are going to come to our state. And I'm like, nice. What does that mean? And he goes, you've been to Wisconsin, you've been to Iowa, you've been to North Dakota, and finally you're going to come to Minnesota. We are so joyed to have you here.
All around us. Yep. Is that challenging in and of itself, trying to acclimate to a state's rules and regulations? And I know that there's probably, you get used to it, right? It's like being employed by a display company or being a display company or having a lead shooter's license in a bunch of different states. You get used to the rules and regulations of that state, but you guys travel all over the place. So do you feel like you're constantly having to learn new rules and regulations when you go to new sites like that?
Yes. A lot of it is nice because we're usually in that state, or we've been in that state again. Like Minnesota, we haven't been there. So it was, they're a safe and sane state. So we had to ensure that all of Class C that was being sold would be to a member-to-member transition or transaction, and not to the general public. All the Class C
stuff is going to be nothing but fountains. Sorry,
all fountains and sparklers and snakes.
Yeah, right.
So that was a big thing for them.
Unlimited shows.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Unlimited fountains.
Unlimited fountain show. Next on the list, Sean Hodder. Yeah.
So it's really nice to kind of see when you talk to them, and you kind of feel like there's a weight lifted off their shoulder when, like with the firework thing for the Class C with Rexon. He's just like, I was really worried about that, but I feel very confident that this is what's going to happen and stuff like that. So every state has some different weird, quirky rules and stuff like that. It's, some places, like with the afterglow, with the beer it always seems like the beer is a big thing with the afterglows. And
really,
some states we have to be bartenders. Some states it's like, we're just giving it away. Yep. Do whatever you want to do, kind of a thing. And it's always something.
Oh, I mean, I suppose that makes sense, but I would imagine, do you have dedicated places for all that stuff? I mean, when it's time for Afterglow, is it like you shuffle your ass over to the Afterglow tent and, to Sloshland you go?
Yep, pretty much. Yep.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, we have a map, which is on our website. If people are listening and want to see what it looks like before you get there. And it's kind of all labeled, and go to the Afterglow, and, that's right here, and get your snack or sandwich and get your beer and hang out and have a few more beers or do whatever you want to do. And we take a lot of time to try to lay it out, the whole site, so everybody has
that's really cool that you guys do that. I mean, one of my favorite parts of visiting an amusement park when I was a kid was getting the map, and I like knowing where to go. But like when the membership shows up, I'm sure it's exciting when you guys visit new sites too. The Pyro and me always enjoys visiting new sites and seeing challenges that come with new sites, and whether things are beautiful. I heard we have a number of members in OPAG that are PGI members, and I guess LaPorte, to this day I still kick myself for not electing to go to LaPorte. It's PGI when it was here, but I understand it was a smaller site, one of the smaller ones that you guys have been.
It's a pretty compact site. When we were there in 2012 was the first time we were there. Everything was on the fairgrounds property, basically. So it's a lot more condensed. And then they built a juvenile hall type thing in the middle of our display field. So then we had to go across the street, and they shut the street down and all this stuff, which gave us some more space. The guy from the fairgrounds have called me and was interested in having us back, but he can't get the property across the street. So we have to do it all on his property.
Really?
But then there was a farmer on the west side of the property that would rent, but it was like ungodly. It was like $200,000 or $300,000 to rent what we needed. And I'm like, we just don't have that kind of money.
Oh my God.
So
man,
we really like the site. We like the area. It's, so close being to Chicago and kind of the mid center point. I wish we could really get something back kind of in that area at some point. It would be kind of nice.
Yeah. And that was always the challenge, I think, for me. And I think the reason why I never really took the plunge, but I'm really grateful that AJ extended us the invite, that he gets the opportunity to shoot a show at PGI. It's going to be a really cool experience. And while I'm not going to get to experience PGI the entirety of the week, that really sucks. But I am looking forward to, indirectly kind of seeing it and experiencing it, even if it is, from the outskirts. And just because I've for years, I've heard so many people talk about how close of an experience it is. It's kind of the beating heart of the pyro community in the industry, because it's this long standing event that everyone has just like taken a liking to. And I guess if there's a question anywhere in there for you, how do you think that came about? I mean, PGI has been, it's the OG when it comes to pyro events. Yeah,
it is. I don't know. I think it just, you get all these people together for a week, which has turned into a week and a half because people show up early, and you kind of get these friendships with all these people, and you start over the years getting to know them for a week or two, depending on where you are. And it turns into this big family reunion that just happens to have fireworks going off in the background, kind of a thing.
It's almost like a summer camp vibe. I used to go to summer camp when I was a kid, and first year I went, hated it because I hated my parents for sending me, and then every year thereafter for, oh my God, years. It sucked when I got to the age where I was like, oh well, I can't do summer camp anymore. But I'm really gonna miss this.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the same thing. I mean, people are, I can't make it this year for whatever reason, and it sucks, because you're like, sometimes some of these people you only see for a week or 2 weeks a year. And you might talk to them here and there, depending on what their role is or not, or whatever. But man, if they don't show up for a year because of health problems or something else, it's like, man, it goes a long time before you get to see and catch up with them. And, it's just, and then a lot of us that are running the event or putting it on, or however you want to look at it, all of us are run around here, there, and everywhere saying, you say hi as you're driving by. You don't even get to catch up with some of these people. It's a really weird, unique event.
Does that suck? You go and you do the event, and sure, after the event's over, you have this huge sense of accomplishment because you got it off the ground. But I mean, what do you find most enjoyable? Because those little moments could mean the world to people. Drive around the golf cart and then, seeing somebody that you haven't seen for a year and you want to stop and talk, but you know that you can't. Where do you find your meaningful moments in the hustle and bustle of that week?
Honestly, I've found great enjoyment in meeting somebody who I haven't met before, like a new person. It's even better when it's a new person who's never been to PGI, and you can take them on a tour and show them and introduce them to some people, and show them the behind the scenes type of a thing, if you will. That's where I get the greatest enjoyment out of PGI.
You think it's just seeing that look on their face and kind of see, like, you're watching them get hooked in the flesh, you just,
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. That's so cool, man.
Yeah. I just, it's just really neat to show people around and, kind of, teach them what and, little tidbits or tricks to this, that, or whatever kind of a thing. It's kind of neat. And then, you see them, see them at the beginning of the week, and you get to see them at the end of the week, and you can be like, oh, how was it? Catch back up. How was it going? Like, what did you all do? And, that's fun to hear what somebody else did through their eyes at, if they've been there for, a couple conventions. It's fun to see what other people do. And, I would someday like to think that I might attend some seminars and start building more and things like that. I don't really know. Yeah. Who knows?
Well, it sounds to me like you need a third vice president.
Yeah, I do.
Some duties off to. So
wow.
With all the people that come to the event, because you have so many different aspects and walks of pyro life and interests come to this event. A lot of the other big events that take place around the United States, they're very show centric, they're very design centric. The community is still there and very much a part of it, but PGI, I think, sets itself apart. Outside looking in, PGI really, it tends to revolve around all these different aspects that kind of make up the hobby and the industry that we love. So can you kind of give us just an overview of all of the different activities that take place at PGI? Can you give us an overview of all of the different things that there are to do throughout the week?
Sure. I can try. I'm probably going to forget something. Well, we have these seminars that people can take, which is basically different people will put on these seminars of teach you to build rockets or ball shells or how to script a show, how to do a pyro musical, how to put together a soundtrack. We have the ATF coming to talk about getting, your ATF license. We got the sheriff coming to do the fingerprints so you can just mail everything in.
Oh, cool.
Dan Muzzy works so hard to get these people to do these seminars, and it fills the entire week with all of that stuff from, we'll call it 8 to 5 type of a thing.
Yeah.
Then we have these displays, and people got to set these displays up. So you have all these people during the 8 to 5 setting up displays. So you have a whole nother group of people that don't get to go do seminars that are in this field, busting their ass, getting a show set up for that night. If it's a public display night, which we invite the public in 2, 3, 4 nights during the week. It just depends on the business model type of a thing.
That's cool.
So then we have open shooting. You can buy, bring, shoot anything to your heart's content. We have a rocket line. We have a Class B line, Class C line, ground suit line. They're open from 5 till 5 p.m. to midnight-ish, depending on clientele and how many people are there. A lot of people just hang out at one of those lines all night and get to know people and watch if the rockets are their thing or ground salutes are their thing, and they just stay there all night. They don't move. That's where they hang out.
Well, and it's almost like it's its own economy too, because all the vendors come in and you can buy from the vendors and take this stuff out to the lines and shoot it. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Our Class C barns, there's all different vendors that show up, and you can buy and shoot as deep as your pocketbook will allow you to continue to buy. And, I've seen people walk in and out, just grabbing stuff. And I'm just like, it's just mind boggling sometimes.
Yeah.
You can buy chems. You can, all the chems that you want to get to build stuff there or at home. We offer manufacturing. So our manufacturing opens at 8 to, I think it goes to about 7 at night. You can sign up for a table and you can sit in there and build for 11 hours if you so choose, or an hour, whatever works. And there's people around there to ask questions and help and whatnot.
Yeah. When you guys go looking for states in the sites, because I know it's totally different, manufacturing it just depends per state, just like any other regulation. I mean, do you guys have to look for a manufacturing friendly state before you go in typically? Yeah.
It's a kind of our thing is we allow people to manufacture. So, if we couldn't do that,
I think it's an awesome skill because there's classes too to teach folks how to manufacture.
Yep. Yeah. There's all sorts of different classes that teach you how to manufacture, and a lot of them they'll show you, and it's a hands-on thing. Okay, now you do, you press this black powder rocket type of a thing.
Yeah.
So it's really pretty cool. We also have a trade show. You could buy hats, t-shirts, firing systems, trinkets. I mean, all sorts of stuff.
Love it.
We have a collectibles. People are into collectibles. You can buy the old firecrackers or whatever. One of the kind of cool things that I kind of stumbled upon last year, I knew what it existed, but with my kids being little, we have an art show, and Byron does a really pretty cool job of having like supplies for kids to come in and do crafts and make like firework type craft things and whatnot. And it's like, maybe because I'm a parent, but it's actually pretty cool. And a lot of kids have a ton of fun with it.
Break them in early.
Yeah, right. Getting your kids into fireworks early enough, or at least the hands-on pieces of it that might not be traditionally hands-on, because obviously they might be too young for some of that stuff. But like getting them acclimated to it, that just means that they're going to take better to it when they get older, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, we also have our JPA, our Junior Pyro Association, for it's kids 7 to 17.
Is that the Cracker Jacks?
No. So what it is that's our cracker burn. We just do a big cracker burn on Friday night. Try to light up millions of firecrackers type of a thing. So, but the JPA is really cool because it's all these kids. They put together script, buy the product, and put on a display on Wednesday night. Now, obviously, their parents are there to help them and stuff, and they don't touch any 1-3 stuff, but they'll put the audio track together, they'll script it, they'll work on fusing the stuff or tearing apart the cakes or whatever needs to be. And they do that Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then they shoot the show on Wednesday. So it's really kind of a cool thing to get these younger kids kind of into this, kind of show them the safe way to do things with the parent supervision.
Yeah. Do you find that that's a challenge? Here we are in 2024, getting the younger generation into Pyro.
I think getting the younger generation into anything these days is difficult.
You got to make a video game, buddy.
Yeah. Yeah.
PGI, the game.
The game.
The mobile game. Yeah.
Only on the Sega Genesis.
Shit.
These buttons are way too big. And what is this? Oh, that's a cartridge, little buddy. A what?
I just want to download it.
Right. Yeah. What is it? What you mean? It's not a digital download that I don't actually own? Absurd.
No, it's a cartridge. You push right in the top.
That's right. And it's yours. You can hold it. Yeah. I don't know. So, like, have you had any meaningful experiences in the sense that, membership has, approached you guys and said, hey, thank you for this. Thank you for all that you guys do. Because it really is something that they look forward to every single year. I know when the guys came back from PGI, to OPAG every single year, they always had nothing but great things to say about the event. And, I know for every event has its down years and its up years, but, these guys are religious and they weren't going to miss it for the world. And that's one thing that I think always excites me. And just being a part of the local club scene is, you feel like you're part of that family, but I can't even fathom what it's like for PGI, where it's like that only on steroids.
Yeah, I think, this is I don't even know, I'd have to count, decade and a half type thing. After you're around it for so long, I think you kind of become immune to it. And you kind of, it loses that, we'll call it that Christmas morning magic type thing. But, there are a lot of people like, the first couple of years that get really excited about it. And I just don't know if like you're around long, you get on this burnout and it's just kind of like, okay, it's another one type of a thing. And you just kind of take it for granted, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there are definitely a lot of people that come up and say, thanks for what you're doing and that kind of a thing. There's definitely people that don't. There's definitely the entitled crowd, but you try to overlook that and take the good when you can.
In Pyro, no way. Unheard of. No, I mean, I've done event planning on a small scale for the day job and other things like that. But I know how much work that is. And, to look at the events that are popping up around the United States and looking to them, and I'm sure they're in a way, if they've not reached out to you guys directly to say, hey, how do you even begin to facilitate something of this magnitude? Because it's huge. I mean, for you guys to coordinate all of this on an annual basis it's crazy to me. And, the guys that do it for the events that are just one day, I can't imagine that on a scale where it's a week long.
We have a really good group of people that do it year in and year out kind of a thing and help us. They have their area and they take their area, and you have another person who takes their area and they kind of know what they need and what they don't need. And we have planning. We do have a bunch of planning meetings, usually in the fall and the spring, where we get, a dozen, 2-3 dozen people together. So you're at the site, you can physically look at, okay, we're going to put the crowd through this kind of a fence. Is that going to work? Nope, that's too small. Let's do this. Okay, well, that just affected the rocket line fallout. Cool. So we need to now move this. So works pretty good when you can get all these people kind of together and just kind of talk through it. And we definitely have a really good group of people that are around and have been around for a while to do that.
Yeah. Will you typically visit the site? Is it once, multiple times for any given PGI?
Like if we're looking for a new site, we usually will send out a few of us to kind of evaluate it to start with. To
so there's people they're like, they trust you to be able to give them good advice, and they get back to the next meeting, huh?
Yeah, it's a couple of us. So typically what kind of happens is we'll look at it from Google Earth just to see, do we have our safety distances? What does the area look like? Is there houses close by, etc.? Then if we deem like, we think it'll work, okay, we should make a road trip. And so usually a handful of us will go out there and kind of talk to them, walk around, drive around, see what we think, and put together a preliminary map of how we think this could get together. And then we'll kind of report back to everybody like, this is where we are, this is what we're thinking, kind of talk through it. And where everybody's like, I think that'll work. Then we'll go back to the site and they're like, okay, your site will work. We're interested. And then we get into contract negotiations and all that kind of stuff. And the rest is kind of history.
The project management piece of that, do you guys set a timeline for any one given year where you're like, okay, we'll do this from, pick a date to a date, but we have to know whether or not we have to know everything that there is to know by this date. So when we get together for this next meeting a quarter out, we can make a decision. Do you guys evaluate a few sites at a time while you're kind of doing that?
Yes and no. It really kind of depends if or what people kind of suggest. I mean, I don't really know what's going on in Kentucky, for an example, like what they have. So we kind of rely on other members to suggest a spot like, hey, we think this might work. And we kind of have a list of criteria. Do you have a 600 by 1600 rectangle? No, but we could do a 600 by 1200 rectangle. Okay. Well, that's our biggest piece of real estate or display field. Okay. Do you have buildings? Yeah, we have buildings. Okay. Do you have camping? Yep, we have camping. So we have kind of like a checklist that we will ask before we start digging into something to try to weed some of that stuff out.
Nice.
But to answer your question about, do we try to get some of this stuff done by like project management, like in a perfect world? Yes, but it never seems to go that way, unfortunately.
Curveballs all over the place with event planning.
Yep. Definitely is.
What kind of challenges has PGI faced in past years, either from the organization standpoint as a whole or functionally at different conventions that you've had over the years? And with those challenges, what have you learned from them? How do you take that into the future to all around make it a better experience?
We've had some challenges. Different sites have, like we were talking before, of, different challenges with this different state laws and stuff. One of the weird ones that really sticks in my brain was back in LaPorte 2012, LaPorte Part 1, as we call it. We were getting the mags all set up and ATF guy shows up and going through stuff and this and that and whatever. And he wanted us to ground our Connex boxes. And I'm like, you want us to ground our Connex boxes? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, are you talking like grounding rod in the ground, like, at a house, like off a power pin or whatever? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, can I ask why? And he goes, well, dirt can burn. And I'm like, excuse me? He's like, well, yeah, dirt can burn. And I'm like, okay. So it's kind of a joke amongst some of us, that are around that are like, oh, dirt can burn, just, we might want to watch for that.
And so do me a favor and watch out for the earth. That's crazy.
So, there's just other, there's a lot of weird, like sometimes there's different weird permits that you need, like event permits or, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, but you kind of have a mental list in the back of the head, like, oh yeah, there we had to fill out an event permit, we had to fill out a tent permit, we've had to fill out tent permits before, make sure the tents aren't going to blow away, kind of they're secured good or whatever. Which I get, but you kind of go through those lists and ask about stuff like that. Sometimes the venues will have kind of a deal with like Coke or Pepsi or whatever the case may be, which sometimes can throw a wrench into things, when you're trying to do the afterglow type of a stuff. Like you got to do Coke or Pepsi, or you got to do Miller or Bud or whatever. So, it's just, there's some weird things that stick in your brain to ask. And that usually comes up in the beginning. So you know what you got to do to kind of get around that.
That's good. I mean, it seems like, the new guys that are going into events like that, when you try to plan for it, that is one of those live and learn moments.
You just got to make everybody happy. I mean, I don't see what's so difficult about that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's super easy to make everybody happy.
Everybody.
Yeah.
No exceptions.
Yep.
Yeah, all 10 billion of them.
You should just be able to drive through the display field too, right? When shows are going on, we should just drive on through. That happened one year. That's a true story. True story.
Oh my God. Somebody drove through the display field while we talking like fire crew trying to douse cake fires, or are we talking?
No, we're talking another display company wanted out, and they started driving through the display field as a display was firing.
Oh God.
They wanted to leave?
Yep, they wanted out of there. Their show was done, and they're like, "We're going home." I'm like, "You can drive through the display field? Are you kidding me? The show's going on."
Wow.
Dude, that's insane.
Yeah,
that's insane. You figured that they know better.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Maybe they got that logic. We're like, I mean, our lane's back here. We'll be fine, dude.
Yeah,
relax.
We're only 50 feet away from sixes going off. No big deal.
That's your safety officer had a heyday with that.
Oh yeah, there was a lot of words on the radio that day. At that time. Yep.
Oh man.
I bet every year is something different, isn't it? Always one thing that's like, that's never happened before.
Yeah, we definitely have had some of those moments before where it's like, oh, that's interesting. Didn't think that was going to happen. Nothing comes to mind off the top of my head, but there's always something, right? It's like, oh, really? Geez, really?
Yeah, I'm sure that. Well, and like you said too, I mean, 10 years or what do you say, a decade and a half doing this?
Yeah, 2010 was my first convention. So,
that's crazy, dude. That's awesome. Were you just a new member? And then at what point were you like, you know what? I have something to contribute, I think.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
No, I was a new member. One of the guys I used to shoot fireworks with was kind of, helping run the site or whatever. And he asked if I would help him run the site that year. And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. And I said, sure, sounds like a great time. Just kind of went from there and just kind of, you're around more, so people give you more responsibility and you're willing to help out. So they kind of ask you to do some more things.
You see that guy driving the golf cart over there? That's Craig. He's my second vice president. I got a feeling that's my guy.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's been fun. It's been an adventure. That's for sure. I guess I didn't know what I was getting myself into back in 2010, but I've met a lot of really great people and made some lifelong friends. So it's been fun.
Bruce Blom was, he was an OPAG founder and, one of my mentors getting started in Pyro, but he was so big on PGI. And
yep.
I'd always wished when he was alive that, I had the opportunity to go and experience PGI alongside Bruce because, Bruce just adored. He was a chemist by trade all of those years before he retired. And, I didn't have the privilege of knowing him then, but living in Ohio, obviously we can't manufacture here. So, he was always in his element hardcore at PGI, having, the opportunity to manufacture. And there's it's one of those moments where, when he passed away, I was just like, I felt like I missed an opportunity to be around not only a great dude, but be around a great dude, watching him enjoy what he loved about fireworks so much, manufacturing and the people.
I think in the beginning, a lot of people get involved and come to PGI for, like the manufacturing or the pyro and whatever. And I think as years go on, as I said before, you start making these friends, and that kind of becomes secondary, and it really turns into a big family reunion, catching up with people. And, you can drive 5 feet and you can find food if you need food, because everybody's like, hey, did you eat breakfast? Did you eat lunch?
Everybody wants to give you something. Yeah, right.
Yeah. Which it's
if
really
you come
pretty
over
cool.
here to my camper, I've made a ham. I'd like to provide you with some. Yeah.
It's like everybody wants to get together and catch up and, trying to be as generous as possible. And I think that's what people don't see at the beginning of it, and hope people at some point get to that point with it, because I think it's unique. I don't think there's a lot of other organizations that are probably like that. Maybe there are, and I don't know, but it's different.
Yeah. Just the connection that I think that you can experience with your fellow pyro in any way, shape, or form. We all develop relationships, albeit like, going out and embedding ourselves in clubs and communities and other things like that. But I think once you really find that and kind of feel that for the first time, it really does kind of change you, and it changes your outlook on how you learn. It changes your, just the relationships that you keep and the progress that you make. And at the end of the day, I think it probably takes, for me, it took something that, was getting stale over time and gave it fulfillment, and it was because of the people that I was around and the people that I had surrounded myself with, because that's what kind of kept me going through it during those times where it's like, what the hell is all this for?
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and one of the other unique things kind of about convention is it seems like everybody's willing to, we've definitely had years where a lot of weather or rain or whatever, and we couldn't get this display company's way behind for the night's display. And they're, it's 4:00 and they're like, there is no way this show is going in the air. It's impossible. And it's like, okay, well, it's going in the air. How many people do you need? Well, what do you mean? Well, how many people do you need? You tell me what you need, and I'll get good help here. And I remember one year they're like, we could use like 10, 12 people. So I get on the radio. I'm like, desperate need of help in the display field. I think we had like 35 people show up within like 5 minutes. 40 people
show up. AJ's head would explode, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It was.
His brain started leaking out of his ear. I can't control this many humans. Don't touch that.
You guys
Don't touch
just
that.
all
Don't
stand
touch
over
that.
there and let me do it.
Yeah. Watch. Do it like this. Do it like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're all on Medusa duty.
Yeah. Tell me about the lightning year. That's a really cool story crazy. That I think I heard. Oh God, who told me that story? I think it was Ben Rapp. I think Ben Rapp told me that story when he got back from PGI. Was that in LaPorte too, or was that somewhere else?
Yeah, that was in LaPorte in 2016. Yeah, we knew there was weather coming. Because we call the National Weather Service and try to be in communication what's kind of going on and whatever.
Yeah.
And so we knew there was weather coming and building and stuff, and we made the call to cancel. And what's going to happen? Let's just cancel, move to the next day. It's not ideal, but it's better than having all these people stuck out with the storms that are supposed to come here about 10:30, 11 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
So a few of the All-Stars had a bunch of multi-breaks loaded for part of the All-Star display on Friday night. So they wanted to see them because they weren't going to be able to stay. So we're like, yep, we got time. Yeah, let's put them in the air. It sounds great. So there's a couple people out there, and our production chair, Ruth Newhouse, was sitting at the zero line with me, and we're just talking away and blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, you can see the lightning comet coming in. And
what time was this?
I would say maybe like 10 o'clock, somewhere in there, 10:30.
And I guess walk me through the rest of the scene. So, I mean, when you guys call it and you cancel, does everybody kind of disperse? Is everybody just kind of like, everybody's at home, sound in their tents, in their campers or their hotels, or they're over at the Afterglow. It's just like, it's your free time. Do whatever. Right?
Do whatever. Like, we're probably not opening up open shooting. We got Afterglow. There's storms coming in. Class C vendors can open up if they want to sell stuff. Everybody, weather's coming and pretty much magazines are shut down. So there's probably a handful to 2 handfuls of people left in the field, right? It's pretty empty. So we're sitting at the zero line, it's talking about, trying to load out, clean up tomorrow and what we can do before the shows and this, that, whatever. And the rain's starting to come in. And all of a sudden, lightning like just flashes and there's just pyro going everywhere. Like it's like grand finale style, like man. Just everywhere. And I'm like, I remember looking at the shoot tables going like, who the hell's at why is somebody at the shoot table right now? Like, but again, this is like a second or two processing. And then I turn back and I'm like, holy crap, that was the lightning. And it just like, and it was so weird because the next day we found the lightning strike, which was literally right in the middle of the display field.
Really?
Yep. And
so what did it hit?
It just hit the ground, and the electricity, with the Fire 1 modules, because the lamp wire was through it all. It traveled through all of them, and it sporadically just popped random E-match cues all the way down their whole fronts. And
oh God.
Yeah, I felt so bad for Great Lakes, but it was just like crazy.
I mean, I bet that would have been something like if you're standing there and that happens behind you, I'm sure that scares the shit out of you. But for all the campers and stuff, are the campers so close to the site? Or are they on site that they would have been like, oh my God, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, it's exactly what happened. They were just across the street. So like everybody's like, yeah, well, all of a sudden we see all this pyro over the top of some of the other campers because, the distance with the angle and stuff. And we're like,
those liars, they said they canceled.
Correct.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was interesting. God, it was really weird. And I will say Aaron Enzer stepped up and helped kind of bridge the show and help them with new firing modules and stuff to be able to even get what was left of the show back up the next day, because they were
wow.
Yeah, they were just fried.
Okay, so it destroyed gear completely.
Yeah, it's destroyed gear. Absolutely.
Wow. That sucks too. Fire 1's not cheap.
No, it's not. So
that's crazy, man. So what do you guys do now? You got a lightning rod truck or something way off in the distance? You just park somewhere?
No, we actually don't do anything. Most people don't.
It does seem like a 1 in a million kind of thing.
It does. Yeah. And everybody uses Cobra now. So like our thing is like, if we're going to use Fire 1, don't run your lamp wire until the day of the show, please.
And if we cancel your show, pull it.
Yeah, pull it. Just disconnect it, please.
Oh, God, dude. I had one other big question I wanted to ask you, and it's really, if we rewind just a smidgen to, when you were talking about, how long you've done this, and maybe that feeling of things getting stale. I guess to maybe pour out some positivity on that. What's PGI look like 5 years down the road? I mean, how is the organization, the event as a whole, trying to differentiate itself? All of these events are popping up around the United States, and they're all really show-oriented events. But what's PGI doing? And what's PGI look like 5 years from now?
That's a really good question. I think we're having a pretty big turnover on our board in the next 2 years. So we're definitely getting some younger blood on there. With some fresh ideas. And one of the big things we did this last year was we got rid of our old website, and we have an online form now. The checkout system's a lot better. It's more functionality type of a thing. We have a younger developer helping us who's a member to try to get that modern feel, if you will. We just developed this new Articles of Pyrotechnic class.
Yeah, I heard about that. Did Muzzy put that together?
No, all the training directors who did the DOC we kind of talked about it and knew that there was kind of a need for it. And after last year of all the people taking for it or the DOC class, just to be able to do that. So we're offering that twice this year. One of our goals is to do like an online training type of a thing where you kind of watch the video and maybe do some kind of a questionnaire at the end, and then you could get your certificate. I'll do it right on our webpage, kind of a thing. So that's kind of something we've been toying with trying to, you know.
Kudos to you guys for doing that, dude, because I think that's such a positive step and something really necessary. Because I've never taken personally a PGI training course. You know, I've always done either the state of Ohio's training courses or display companies that I've shot for, taken continuing ed through them to maintain my licensure. But, you know, that product classification, it's become such a hot button over the last number of years that, I mean, kudos to you guys for creating something that's tailored to it, because hobbyists and just I think the industry as a whole needs it, because I do believe that the states, they look at organizations like PGI and they're like, yeah, these guys know what the fuck they're doing. You know, they understand what this product is, how it's supposed to be used, and we trust their ability to teach the right and the wrong way to do stuff. And then the certificate winds up holding weight, just like it has with the standard PGI course. Yeah,
I agree. I think Minnesota this year, Rexon is going to send 3 of his new employees through the DOC class on Wednesday, the full blown. So they understand. So there's definitely a lot of states that recognize that. And it's nice because you can kind of, you know, not tell them what to do, but you can tailor, you know, what is going on. So everybody kind of understands what's going on and teach them what they need to know versus having this preconceived notion of what it is or what it isn't, kind of a thing.
Yeah, right.
So, but yeah, I think 5 years down the road, I don't know. It's we're kind of at a weird time with a younger board it's going to be there at some point in time. You know, kind of the old guard is getting out, and you know, I don't know. You know what? I know we talked about developing our own app, and one of the big things that I kind of want to do is at convention we have our map loaded and kind of pulls off of like Google Maps or something. So it actually shows you like where you are, to try to give a better user experience of people finding things. Cause it seems like everybody gets lost all the time.
You are here.
That's me.
Yeah. You are here.
You are here. Craig Hetherington is here. Ellery Ho is here. Sean Hodder is here.
Find my Pyro.
Find my for the Pyro wives that come out, find my husband. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
New app coming to PGI 2025.
With like the shows and stuff, I really would like to, you know, some of the other events that are more geared towards shows and more of this, we'll call it the articles of pyrotechnic talent, that has developed over the last 5-8 years, if you will. Really would like to get those people involved in doing shows or competitions and bring that talent kind of over to us. I feel like our shows have kind of gotten a little stale over the past, call it 5 years or so. See what we can come up with.
Right. And I can see that's difficult too, because there's a degree of funding that has to go into that, especially for the hobbyists, right? Because even in like the Class C competitions that you guys do, I mean, it's a competition, but am I correct? Is it all out of pocket for the shooters that come in to shoot it?
Yep, it is self-funded. Yep.
Yeah. And that's got to become difficult for those shooters.
Absolutely.
You know, when you look at the other big events, there's financials that are associated with all of those anyway, you know, albeit in transportation and lodging and, you know, just time off the day job and things like that. Yep. But you know, even having that help is probably huge when it comes to product and sponsorships,
I would like
and things like that.
Next year, I would like to start and I kind of want to do it this year, but I really just kind of ran out of time with everything. But I would like to start kind of a articles of pyrotechnic competition, kind of spin off from like the Skywars thing and all that.
Hey, there you
where
go.
we would have some funds available, and say it's a Wednesday night type of a thing, that those 3 displays would be part of the nightly display type of a thing. That would at least alleviate the product constraints of that, and maybe we allocate some of it or something for some lodging, or maybe we can do some camp or something like that to try to entice some of this to talent to come over and be used and
I think it'd be
seen by our members.
Really well received, man. It'd be
so
really
we'll
well
see.
received.
Yeah.
I can take AJ. Well, I know what we should do. We should do a Rhythm Pyro v Pyro Unleashed. How's that sound?
Two
Kick
displays.
this thing off. Kick this thing off with a
versus
bang.
the podcast.
Yeah, right. The
Podcast
battle of the
versus
podcast.
Podcast versus the podcast.
Oh my God.
We can maybe do something
Okay.
like that. That could be interesting.
Yeah, dude, I like it. I like the fact that you guys are, you're looking at change. You're looking at change. You're always trying to keep things fresh. Because I'm sure there was a time where PGI was really kind of it as far as annual events. And, this is like this time of the season, especially the last 5 to 6 years, when I first started going to the old Pyromania before it became Skywars back in 2016, I mean, that was really the first industry and, club hobbyist event that I attended. But it was really cool because it kind of opened my eyes to a lot of the other events that are out there, which at the time didn't really seem like there was much, right? But now they seem to be popping up everywhere, and it gets exciting this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, I think it just takes a few people to want to lead the charge to try to change stuff up or change things around or whatever, that you kind of get in your own ways. That, you've been on the board for, let's call it 15 years. You kind of, I can see you kind of get complacent. I mean, I probably would too. Makes sense. So, I think it's just, you got to kind of change and with the times and be open to the change, and every change might not be great, but it might lead to something that really is. And you can always go back to the way it was if you wanted to. And if you have that open mind, I think, you can probably come up with some cool stuff.
Yeah. There's no shortage of opinions either anywhere in the world. Everybody's got a butthole. What was the old saying? Everybody's got 2 things, an asshole and an opinion, something like that. But with the membership being as big as it is, I'm sure you guys get tons of feedback at the end of every single year. How do you parse through the feedback and figure, okay, this is good feedback. Maybe we'll look at doing something different the next time around. Where do you even begin with something like that?
That's a good question. I think it's, you always get, suggestions, especially the week of, why didn't you do it this way or that way? And depending on the sleep deprived night you had, you kind of say, well, you're free to help us out anytime you want. And, but we try to, with the feedback, kind of just go through it, and it's hard to kind of piece, one person's mad because you had Budweiser, and the next person's mad because you had Miller Lite.
Yeah,
and the next person's mad.
That's the stuff that you just get right. You just got to throw that stuff out. Like, you know what, you got to deal with it. Sorry. BYOB next time or something. I don't know. I have no idea. Is PGI can even do that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah,
there you go. They got nothing to bitch about then.
Yeah. So I think it's just, you kind of know, like you said, you just kind of toss some stuff out and roll with it. Some of the feedback, some of the stuff isn't reasonable. It's like, well, we can't do that. That doesn't make sense. Or, the cost is too great. We'd have to raise convention fees $100 to cover something like that kind of a thing or whatever. So, I mean, we got a budget just like everybody else, so
yeah.
Money only goes so far when you're putting on a big event like that.
Yeah. Well, so a PGI membership, the convention's separate from your annual membership. Just walk me through some of the high level admin stuff. I mean, we're getting pretty close to the event. Event dates are what? It's August 3rd to the 9th, right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So, everybody has to be a member. So, your membership allows you access to our website, which we're trying to get more content up there. We're hoping to get some seminar video type things up there. So members can go back and watch some of that stuff. Say how to press a black powder rocket type of a thing. We have these bulletins. There's 5 a year that get mailed to you. Get a nice calendar at the end of the year. And then we have our convention registration, which you have to pay to be able to go to convention. So that's 200 some bucks. I don't even know how much it is off the top of my head. That gives you the right to be able to attend convention and enjoy it just like every other person that has registered. So
sweet. I am looking forward to coming to your convention and setting up some fireworks.
Yeah. It'll be good. It'll be your first one, so it'll be a little different. And
it will. And if I see you driving around the golf cart, I'll wave.
Yeah, you should do that.
I'm going to need AJ to say, hey, that's Craig. Unless you wear that furry suit. If you wear the furry suit, I'll know it's you.
Yeah.
We'll just chase you down for a tour.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, definitely.
That's a great
Sorry, AJ. We got a tour to see.
Where the
fuck's Bo? He's riding around with Craig. Craig's giving him the tour.
We should do
Segway races.
We have to do that. Definitely hop in and drive by and be like, see, AJ, we're going to go see you in a few hours and wave.
I like where your head's at.
We got to play the circus music as we go by.
Yeah.
Do it just to piss him off. And it's a good day.
It's a good day.
That's a good day. Okay. All right. We got, let's see here, 2 voicemails this week. This may be loud.
Hello. No one is available to take your
It's usually loud. That's the feedback that I get.
Pick up the phone. I got something to rescue. I was so reckless in your brain. Guys, there's so much knowledge in here. Ready legs, ready legs, ready legs, and I'll give it to me.
Okay, let's do some voicemails. All right, first one's from some guy that hasn't called in for a while.
Hey guys, so this year I went about a different way with setting up my show and all the prep work and everything like that. And I kind of scaled things back a little bit because I wasn't 100% sure, how well it was going to go. And so I had a lot of empty cues on things, and there's some stuff that I could have done better. I could have done, more single shots in some of my songs and things like that. But now knowing what I know for next year and the year after, I obviously want to increase my cue count. Right now I'm at a maximum of 234 cues, which is 13 channels. I guess looking at, to the future, what's going to be, or what would you suggest I really focus on increasing my cue count on? Should I focus more on increasing, slices and maybe trying to add some more positions for that? Should I really focus on the single shots and really try to build that up? Should I maybe try to focus on the cakes and that kind of thing? If you're in my shoes, with having 13 channels, 234 cues, where would your next step for next year be? Where would you really try to focus? Would you do single shots, slices, maybe, more precise with cakes? Where would you put your focus at and, in buying modules and equipment for next year?
Craig, actually, this is Craig. Do you shoot any shows? Do you do any choreographed stuff?
I shoot shows, but I am not a choreographer to save my soul.
Yeah. So totally my opinion, but anything that you can convey a sense of timing on, obviously cakes are great filler, right? But anything that you can use to convey a sense of timing, which is, typically winds up being single shots and slices, and you can really get away with doing a lot with those things because you can paint a hell of a sight picture with slices and single shots. And I'm talking from a sense that you can convey timing, but you can also use them to build out bigger sight pictures in all of your verticals to do these things. But my personal opinion, I love single shots to death, but my application is, it might be totally different than somebody else's. Some guy that hasn't called in for a while, it might be totally different than your application. Like, what's your show format? My father shoots the first 30 minutes of our show, and my 2-minute Pyro musical is really just the finale. But in 2 minutes, I can accomplish a whole lot with a ton of cues and single shots and slices. But if you take that whole thing and you try to stretch that out, like the old Bilbo Baggins, too much butter over, some bread, it's a different story. What do you think, Jamie?
I think the simple and cheap answer is get more friends. The long answer is it all depends on what you're looking to do with more cue counts. If your goal is to make a wider field of view, you could simply mirror your positions via, series or parallel, slats, things like that, with your existing 13 channels and just repeat that in 3 stations. If your goal is to have more control, say with single shots, so that you control the entire show, you're going to have to invest more into more equipment to be able to have those individual cues for control. Like Bo said, you can have a pretty large sight picture with slices and cakes, and it doesn't take as many cues to elongate that show with that product. It just really depends on what your ultimate goal is with those additional cue counts.
Yeah, the size of your site's going to make a pretty big impact on your decision too, I think.
And your wallet. But,
I mean, maybe he's got Jamie money. Did you ever think of that?
I think AJ's taking applications for friends. So
yeah, right. Who else is based on tonight's group chat? The dinging just never stopped. Mikrit is taking applications for friends too. The dinging was just hardcore from 8 p.m. this evening until like 38 seconds ago.
So there it is. A go friend me page.
Friend me.
Friend me page.
What benefits does being your friend come with? List them here, but make it crazy and then make it so people have to answer in 150 characters or less. Yeah. Well, Craig, how would you tackle that from if you shoot shell shows? I mean, this question is totally dependent upon the application and the shooter's way of doing things. So that same question applied to your shows, what would you do?
I think it really depends on what your audience is and what you're trying to accomplish, and what your shoot site restraints are. And I think it's a difficult question because it can go either way. I mean, if you have a huge front show, you're going to need more equipment. But if you're a little tighter, you probably can get away with the equipment you have and, use some cakes and slices and stuff to, do what you need to do. I guess single shots are great. They look awesome. It's really just kind of dependent on what you want to do or how you want to go about it and what you're trying to accomplish. And if you have Jamie money, you can just do whatever you want to do, but most people don't. Just
do whatever you want to do.
Do what I want.
And if AJ were here, he'd tell you to just sell all your stuff on eBay because you're never gonna make it. Okay. All right. Second one's from
I feel like AJ's going to call him with a voicemail.
Yeah,
now.
he's going to be pissed this episode. Sovereign State of Canada. This one's from
AJ.
Fellas, I hope you had a good 4th of July and it went out with a bang. Certainly.
We did. What do you have in Canada? Did you know that their Independence Day kind of falls around the same day. I didn't know that.
Is it like July 5th or 6th or something?
It's real close. It's copycats.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I mean, what the hell? Just pick a different month to liberate your country.
Sounded like it. My question is regarding PGI. If you're a first-time visitor, what are the biggest takeaways you're going to have? Is it more of an educational basis where you can learn how to make shells, design shows, and incorporate music? Or is it more of a trade show regarding different vendors and what they have to offer? Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Take it away, Craig.
That's a great question.
It's an interesting question because I always say the first year that somebody comes, you're kind of on overload and things are going by a million miles a minute just because there's like everywhere you turn, there's something pyro related going on. I think you get both experiences, to be honest with you. I think if you're there for the week, you can definitely get both experiences. If you're there for a few days, you're probably going to get more of the vendor trade show type of a thing, just because you're not really sure what seminars are going on or what you want to take, and you're not really going to kind of settle into the scene, if you will. But you can definitely get both if you have enough time and have enough availability with work and stuff to be able to sit there and kind of take it all in.
I'm quite sure that there's so much to do at the event that it would almost take you a couple of years worth of attending to say that you've kind of experienced everything that there's to experience at the event. So you could go 1 year and then go back the next year and have a totally different experience. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, because it's all dependent on, I mean, like this year, Derek Miller does our the mum shell building class. So these people sign up for this class and they build all the product to put on a show on Friday night. He's not doing it next year. And that's a pretty intense class because it's every day, for several hours because you got to get all the stuff done, right? And so you could do that this year, and next year you'd be like, okay, I did that. And now you'd be like, oh, there's a trade show. Oh, there's open shooting. Like you don't really get to experience a lot of that stuff if you're stuck in that class.
Yeah.
So you have different experiences, and it probably takes, like you said, a couple of years to kind of experience the entire event as a whole as it was intended.
For newcomers that would come into the event, who knows? Maybe they come in understanding what they love about fireworks, but getting there and experiencing it could be something totally different. The next year they'd be like, oh my God, my eyes are open. Now I want to learn how to manufacture stuff. So, the whole next year they might completely change their perspective on fireworks and then dedicate that time toward something new when they go.
Absolutely. You could. Yeah. And, and you never know what happens too. You might be, say, out on the beeline and somebody walks out with, I don't know, case of shells, and they're like, you know what? I really don't want to fire these. I actually want to watch them. And can you fire them for me? It's happened. And
that's cool.
Yeah. Like, I mean, that experience doesn't happen every year. And so, you can, I'm almost wondering, can you even ever have the same experience?
I love that. And so much of that has to change with the people that come to the event too, because, as the demographic changes and as the people change, then so does the experience.
Yeah.
And the amount of experience is there. People just,
just the amount of things
knowledge
you can learn from people, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I love it. Good questions.
Guys, there's so much knowledge in here. Ready,
Alrighty then, go join the Patreon, patreon.com/Rhythm Pyro. As a supporting member, you're going to get elite status on the Discord server, and you're going to get access to the monthly bonus show episode, which is to say that you'll be the first person that we ask to come hang out with us on the show, where we talk about whatever you want to talk about. That sounds fun, doesn't it? And go check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Craig Hetherington, thanks a lot for joining us, man. This has been really cool. I'm genuinely looking forward to meeting you, and looking forward to experiencing PGI.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Can't wait to start
it was
heading
fun. Excited to hang out with you guys, and yeah, it should be a good time in a few weeks.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Now stop talking about it.
Stop talking about it.
Stop talking about it.
Start doing some more planning.
Yeah, stop talking about it. Go get your clipboard and your golf cart.